WFM 97.2.
It's Mark Brown. I'm down at the Contact Theatre for the launch of this year's 24/7 Theatre Festival, and I've got one of the playwrights with me. It's Ian Moore, who's written The Inconsistent Whisper of Insanity. Hello, Ian. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much. Good to talk to you.
And you too. Tell us a little bit about the plot without giving too much away. Well, what's it all about?
It's essentially a look and an exploration of determinism, which is the opposite of fate. So we all have a life journey from birth to death, and the question is what we do determined by a higher being or whatever religion or God or faith you actually live within, or is it just random and happens? So essentially the story is the story of a young girl who at 15 is involved in the Kronstadt Rebellion, which is part of the third revolution in the huge Russian Revolution. The Kronstadt Rebellion is a little-known episode which happened in 1921 in Kronstadt, which is about 35 miles north of St. Petersburg and is virtually bordering on Finland. At the age of 15, a young girl is tasked by her guardian to go to the station to meet the guardian's sister. And unfortunately, she becomes involved in part of the rebellion. And then we catch up with her 70 years later, and the story is about what happened from being 15 to being 70. So it's kind of it's a one-act play, 60 minutes long, but it's on an epic scale. It's kind of very much because it's the majority of set during the Russian Revolution. There's a lot of connections to things like Anna Karenina, War and Peace, and so it's a period epic piece told in 1 hour.
That's intriguing, actually. You say it's little-known event, so how did you hear about it?
I've been fascinated with history for a long, long time, right from being a young boy in school in Sunderland. So I'm a boy who from Sunderland moved eventually to Liverpool, who works in Manchester, and it's just something that I came across quite by chance, and it always amazed me that we look back with pain and horror at the Holocaust and the atrocities of World War II, but preceding that was the Holocaust of the Russian Revolution, and in fact, to a certain degree, the Russian Revolution was even more abhorrent, simply because they did it to themselves. They were shooting and killing their own. And I'm not suggesting that it was right for the Germans to do what they did, but the Germans didn't do it to their own. They did it to the Jewish race and anyone who was of that faith, and obviously homosexuals and et cetera, et cetera. But the Russian Revolution is buried. The true stories of the Russian Revolution are absolutely buried, and they will take decades, if not longer, to really come to light. Whereas the World War II atrocities have come to light quite swiftly, and there are atrocities that haven't come to light, but with regards to the Russian Revolution, there are still things that I've seen footage on various websites, and sickening, absolutely. And the fascination is one of how could a nation do that to itself? Living next door to each other, one would be a Bolshevik, one would be a Menshevik, and they'd be killing each other. It's just, I mean, we've had a civil war in our country, in our history, but not on this scale. There were literally hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of people slaughtered because they didn't support. It's like David Cameron going and somebody knocking on David Cameron's door who wasn't a conservative and taking him out on a massive scale. So, and it just intrigued me. It really, really intrigued me how that could happen. And then, unfortunately, linked to that, a sad part of my personal life, and all writers write from their own personal life, is my dad is suffering from dementia, which is horrible. It really is. So I kind of link that into the young girl of 15 has an accident, loses her, not exactly loses her memory, but she loses a huge chunk of time and develops Alzheimer's and dementia, and she's being brought back to her youth, to where she was born, So the story is that the white Mensheviks tried to take Kronstadt as part of the Kronstadt rebellion and were usurped by the red Bolsheviks. And tens of thousands fled to Finland. And from Finland, they then moved on to various parts of Europe. And if I was in Finland, I'd move to Spain because it's warmer. So the premise is she has an accident at 15. She ends up as part of a rebellion. She finds herself in the south of Spain, age sort of 60, 65, not knowing what's gone on. And somebody turns up in the south of Spain who is part of her background. And she's slowly brought back to St. Petersburg to find out what really went on.
Well, I found it particularly moving because my own father had Alzheimer's as well.
Oh, it's dreadful. It's freakish. It really is, and quite.
Well, it is because he died. He had about 5 years, and we lost him twice really because he had the disease. So you lose him once, and then you lose him again.
Well, my dad's as fit as a fiddle. He's had a triple heart bypass operation. He's been given the all clear. He is fit as a fiddle. He's 73. He could be around, as your father was, for a long, long time. But you're absolutely right. He's gone. He lives in Stevenage. He's in a care home in Stevenage, and in his mind, he is not only in the northeast, but he's also in 1970. And it's very hard for my stepmom because my stepmom they've been married for 20 years, and she has no recollection of anything before sort of late 1980s. So she doesn't know about his backstory from he was born in 37 up to 89 when he married my stepmom. She doesn't know what happened. So when I went down to see him, and he's referring to things like people he used to knock about with as a kid who I knew in my childhood when they were adults, obviously. And I could have full-blown conversations with him. But she was just completely lost. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Lost him. We're going to lose him twice.
And they're happy enough in their own world. It's the poor carer who has to suffer.
Yes, yeah. And the carers are diamonds, absolute diamonds. The last time I saw him, I could be with him for about 2 or 3 hours, and really it just got harder and harder and harder just to accept where he was and who he was and what had happened to him tragically. But they go in and they do 4, 5, 8 hour shifts, and they are immense people.
Well, I look forward to seeing you playing. It sounds absolutely fascinating. I suppose we're also Boris Pasternak had a little bit of a go with Dr. Zhivago, similar period, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, very similar period. And there's one or two sort of connections. The trailer's online. It's on YouTube. If you put Inconsistent Whisper, you see a trailer for the piece. And it's kind of the trailer's a lift of a very famous trailer for a Garbo film called Anna Karenina. And I just thought, because it's of that time frame, and Garbo's a genius, Frederick March was also in that version, and it was just such a beautiful trailer. I thought that's just a nice sort of template for the piece, and it sort of lifted that idea and just ran with it. So have a look at the trailer and come and see the show.
I certainly will do. I wish you every success in the festival. Is there a particular piece of music I can play for you to say thank you for this brief interview?
Anything by Prokofiev.
Oh, anything in particular?
No, you go for it.
I will do. Thank you. It's a joy to meet you.
Yeah, thank you. And you. Nice to meet you.
Tune in every Monday 12 till 2 and let Alex Parker-Brown take you out to lunch.
Do you like to dine with the fine, nosh with the posh, eat with the elite, or just munch with the bunch? On the menu I offer is Comedy Corner at 12:30 to exercise your chuckle muscles. Digest what the stars have in store for you in my celestial corner. You can also order up a favourite in They're Playing Our Song, and I'll give you one at one, classical music to relax and de-stress you during your lunch break. There's something for everyone, so give your ears a thrill and let the velvet voice get your juices flowing.
So tune in every Monday 12 till 2 for the Out to Lunch show with Alex Parker-Brown.